Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a full review of the Gerber Ayako and seeing if it's more than just a pretty knife by comparing it to the most proven and affordable folding knife I own, the Cold Steel ProLite Tanto. Alright, let's get started. So this is the Gerber Ayako, new for 2020. This knife just came out. It is a front flipper design, and we have a coined aluminum scale on one side, titanium nitride coated steel frame lock on the other side. The steel is 7CR17 MOV, about 3.5 inches long, and it is a sort of modified Tanto design. It's a very attractive looking knife, Japanese inspired, and very cool. Office carry type of EDC. On the other end of the spectrum is the Workmen's knife. The Cold Steel ProLite Tanto offers a 3-inch blade made of 4116 German stainless steel. You're looking at nylon handles that accommodate the largest of hands. The famous triad lock from Cold Steel, which is a modified back lock, made a lot stronger, made to last a lot longer. The Gerber Ayako, in terms of deployment, the front flipper, this was the first one I ever had, and the way I started opening it was with a 2-finger method. I'd open it with my thumb a little bit and then use my index finger to go the rest of the way, just like that. When traditionally these knives are supposed to be opened with your thumb all the way through, I just couldn't really get into that sort of thing. I started just seeing if it was flickable too. You do have to open it just a tad to be able to flick it, and I mean it works pretty well. It is running on bronze washers. Funny enough, one bronze washer is stronger than the other, and the lockup is extraordinary. There is absolutely no lockup in the blade, none at all. It is held very tightly inside. Alright, now when we look at the Cold Steel ProLite Tanto, you're looking at nylon or glass-filled nylon handles. They're made of 3 pieces that have been molded together. You have a nice pocket clip there, and you have a little bit of jimping on the top. It's kind of helpful, especially if you're wearing gloves. Otherwise, it might dig in a little. You have a thumb stud that can be switched from one side to the other. That way you don't have it bothering you on 2 sides, and you can do that with a flathead. Deployment is pretty fast on this guy. I've used it extensively for the past 5 months, and I've loosened it up. You do have a lanyard hole on this one, and extra screws for your pocket clip, which is also finished. I've tapered the edges of mine to make it even more comfortable, and there is your famous triad lock. Once again, deployment is smooth. But it's actually probably the most difficult knife to deploy besides the Ayako that I own of my folders. But it can be loosened and it can shoot out quick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Comparing these 2 knives is kind of weird. One is kind of like more of a shower, one's more of a worker. But it makes sense because these 2 are actually kind of fairly similar in price. The Gerber Ayako is going to cost you around $25.99 on Blade HQ, and the Cold Steel ProLite Tanto is on sale right now on Blade HQ for about $21.99, and that's pretty unbeatable. And they've had that sale going on now for months. Like I said, I bought mine about 5 months ago, and the sale is still going on, so grab it while you can. Besides that, they both are in the large category of knives, full size. They both have 3 or over inch Tanto blades, and they're both EDC knives, so what's not to compare? The Gerber Ayako is quite striking compared to the Cold Steel, but you know what? It's all about what you carry. If it works for you, doesn't matter anything else. If it looks good, fine, but if it works well, then that's what's most important. Alright, so when it comes to box cutting, the Ayako was able to perform quite well. Um, I was getting some trouble as it was catching on to some of the cardboard. As you see here, I'm just trying to cut right through it, and it just keeps catching. And I know normally you'd cut your cardboard according to the grain, but for lack of a better term. But I wanted to give a more of a real life scenario. Sometimes you got to be cutting things all over the place, kind of uncomfortably. Um, just, I think the way that the bevels are designed when it comes to the hollow grind, um, they're kind of short, and it does have a very sharp edge on it, but I feel like the knife is not taking full advantage of its edge, because as soon as it goes even just about a few centimeters into the cardboard, it's going to catch either on the thumb hole or the top of the blade there. It even took the cardboard out of my hand right there in that last cut there. It still has a decent edge on it after that. Right here you have the cold steel performing the cut on this super thick triangle corner cardboard here. And as you can see, it just dives really nice and deep into it. It stabbed super well. And this knife is excellent at that sort of thing. It's excellent at piercing, and it's no wimp when it comes to cutting either. The German 4116 steel takes a razor edge, and honestly, it's very easy to sharpen, and it holds an edge. I'd say a little better than 8 CR13 MOV, probably just as good as AUS 8. So there's no reason to shy away from this type of steel. And on that note, even 7 CR17 MOV, it can be heat treated and tempered to great retention, great strength. But when it comes to this Ayako knife in particular, I feel like that's probably what's letting it down. You can see that this material is very thick indeed. Once again, the cold steel gives you no hot spots in the handle, no hot spots at all. It feels very good in hand. As I said, I did taper the edges, but even if I hadn't, you still wouldn't have noticed it. Blade's still in good shape, opens well. Alright, on the cardboard test, immediately I noticed that it's just flying through some of this stuff. There you go, according to the grain, and it just slides right through. This blade is not getting caught in anything, and I started to wonder if it was because of the coating. This knife has no coating. In fact, it only has a stone wash finish on it, so there's nothing on there. And the Ayako has that titanium nitride. I'm not sure what that would do to it, but if it makes the knife catch on even just cardboard, then I'd say try to opt for the Ayako that comes in the silver and the black oxide finished blade, because black oxide's pretty smooth. You wouldn't have any problems with it. Alright, so here's the Ayako after those pretty gruesome cuts. When it comes to a little piece of pine, I usually like to test all my knives out with a little bit of feather sticking, just to see what they can do. And the Ayako, even with a little bit of a duller edge, performs very well here. Very well. It definitely sticks to the wood, doesn't fly through, and it doesn't stab in. So it's like kind of the perfect grind for this sort of finer work. There's a lot of control in the knife, and I mean it feels really good. But then I did notice there was a little bit of a hot spot right there in the clip. You see how far it sticks out, and that's great if you're wearing thicker pants. But like I said before, I feel like this knife is more of an office carry. Maybe if you're going to be wearing khakis or I don't know, some very thin material type of pants, you wouldn't need a pocket clip that thick. But it's there, and it's a good thing. No complaints. But it did give me a little bit of a hot spot into making these. But you see though, you see there that those curls are not bad at all, and a few more minutes, you could have yourself some curls that are ready to take a spark. Now the cold steel is still quite sharp, and this grind, I've used it in the woods plenty of times, even though it's Tanto hollow grind. It performs pretty well. It's getting some nice curls out there. Sometimes it can be a little inconsistent. It likes to dig in sometimes. You just have to be very hold your angle there quite still. But I mean, it's not a bad performer when it comes to even some of this wood stuff. But this Ayako really did impress me. It really shined here on doing these feather sticks and this carving. And the way I was holding it right there with my finger over the pocket clip just pretty much took away the hot spot. And there it is. Alright, so in conclusion, about the Gerber Ayako, we can say that this knife is definitely a pretty good EDC if you're working in an administration job, like an office job. If you're going to be cutting paper, tape, opening packages lightly, not all day, or even prying staples off or something like that, I think you're going to be set. Even in the woods, this knife actually impressed me. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of a puko, and it just kind of flies over the wood instead of digging in or not cutting at all. But when it comes to like a hardcore EDC knife, if you're going to be carrying this in a warehouse job or something like that, I don't think this is the knife for you. Specifically because the deployment is a little bit slow and it takes a little bit more effort, as well as the fact that I think blade geometry is, I think it's a little off right now. I think that the grind is kind of short, and it's kind of what's letting this down. And we look closely, it's a very short hollow grind, and it's very thin behind the edge, but I think kind of that might be it. And the tip, you can see the tip there, it's a very fine tip. I wouldn't call it weak or frail, specifically because that Tanto tip is more of a chisel kind of tip. It's very stubby. I don't think it's going to break on you. And materially, the knife is fine. It really is. I think the steels are good, the scales, but the pocket clip can be, I think it should be orientated for a tip up carry. That way you can get out of the way when you're trying to cut. And the flipper, I think the flipper should be able to be, I think it should have been designed with a proper flipper instead of a front flipper. I know the point was the front flipper design, but all in all, I think it's a great knife. I think it's not really going to let you down in most cases. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's a good one. Bye.